Here's I didn't go through the whole interview of Paul McCartney, but here's some other stuff. Here's another part I got. You can do it yourself, man. Definitely. Also, I figured out in it when I reversed his message, one of his messages in his subconscious, he said, "I better obey the culprit because if I don't, I'll end up like the wheels rolling and then the car hitting." Or something like that. No, it was self-explanatory. I can't remember the message exactly how it says, but yeah, it was said that, you know, Paul McCartney died in 1966. Well, yeah, my wisdom is telling me he did. And that is William Campbell. And this time he has to obey the corporate, you know, and the subconscious it said, so he doesn't end up like the other Paul McCartney. Or the one in 1966, so this is William Campbell. And yeah, that just proves it. I'll tell you some other stuff after I play these messages. Here we go. Let me see if I have the volume up. So, let me just tell you, like, I talked about it in the song Bitch Boy. So, basically, okay, in Revolution 9, when it says number 9, you play it, reverse it, it says, "Turn me on, dead man." Yeah. I've been able to, my wisdom is telling me this. So basically, well, okay, so Mark Stacer is, replaced the John Lennon before 1970. So Mark Stacer is John Lennon. And, you know, yeah. So, thing is, like, they say that John Lennon died in a plane crash. That's not true. He actually went, he flew off in a plane because he left. But see, they faked his death. So, you want to know what happened? I'll tell you what happened. I was going through an interview with the Beatles, right? An interview with the Beatles. It was like 1959. The film was grainy. I heard a little spirit speak through there. In a small frequency. I could hear it. And it literally was like, "Yeah, I shot him in the chest in front of me." What it was, since Mark Stacer was acting as John Lennon in 1970, the thing was, that was, whether that was actually him or it was probably a spirit. I don't know how it happened, but it was implying that Mark Stacer shot the real John Lennon in the chest in front of him. Some, like, maybe close to 1980 or maybe 1975. Well, 1980 is supposedly when he died, so yeah, Mark Stacer shot the real John Lennon in the chest in front of him. So, yeah, I shot him in the chest in front of me. See, Mark Stacer, it was the voice disguised as he was acting like John Lennon, but then as he says, with the John Lennon's voice, "Yeah, I shot him in the chest, then in front of me." I played Mark Stacer's music. It sounds just like that voice, so, and whether it was a spirit or not, whether it was him that spoke through that, through an audio track and put it in that interview, by the time it would be shown, either way, my wisdom is telling me that it's all true. So, yeah. That's what happened there. And I think perhaps maybe the Beatles also sacrificed the real John Lennon's body, or the John Lennon in 1960, before 1970. And yeah, because John Lennon, Mark Stacer, I think, well, but that was like, hold on. Okay, so the album of Sgt. Pepper's Lonely, at one of the ends of the songs, he says, "I buried Paul." They're lying, and I think Rolling Stones, when they said Paul McCartney conspiracy, that he's dead. No, he really died in 1966. But, But they're lying when they tell you, oh, it didn't say I buried Paul. I buried Paul. It says cranberry sauce. John Lennon said that. Or that could have been... See, the problem is, Mark Stacer... But see, that was like in 1969. If that's the case, when Sgt. Pepper's Lonely album came out, then perhaps Mark Stacer... Perhaps that wasn't Mark Stacer, but that could have been Mark Stacer. I think it was 1970. Or that could have been the other John Lennon. Who knows, man? Either way, it was getting ready to make that transition. So John Lennon... We'll just say John Lennon, for all intents and purposes. I mean, I've already kind of made it a little confusing. My apologies. So I buried Paul. So basically, my wisdom has been telling me I connected everything. Basically, when the real Paul McCartney died, when his car skid off from the road and hit a tree, I think it was, or it crashed. He died in the car crash. He blew his mind out in a car crash. So what happened was his body was taken out of the car because there was a ritual that had to be done. And basically, I think, Jimmy Savile was a necrophiliac and was the one to have sex with dead bodies. And so I think what it was is that my wisdom is telling me that Jimmy Savile had sex with the real Paul McCartney's corpse that died in 1966, and his stomach was in two, and Jimmy Savile was having sex was also doing things to the corpse of Paul McCartney, and regarding Paul McCartney's intestines and stuff like that. And so Jimmy Savile had sex with the real Paul McCartney's corpse while it was cut in two, while sucking off John Lennon, and then John Lennon buried Paul. Because, see, in the Revolution 9 backwards, when it says, "Turn me on, dead men," you hear John Lennon's voice backwards saying, "While you suck me." So, again, this is what my wisdom is telling me. But anyway, this is part 2 of the video. Again, I know it sounds gross and everything. Just meditate on 528 Hertz. It'll be okay. Stay woke, guys.